Start. Greetings, everyone, from the Peace Corps headquarters here in Washington, D.C. Hello. We are hosting this webinar today to honor International Children's Day. The United Nations has identified June 1st as International Children's Day, but it is acknowledged and celebrated in different ways on different days all over the world. If you would like to join the conversation today, you are welcome to use the chat function that you see up on the upper right-hand side of your screen, or you can use our hashtag WorldWiseTalks, and you can tweet to us any questions or comments that you would like to make during the webinar. So International Children's Day, which is today, is intended to bring awareness to human rights. I'm wondering if anyone out there has ever heard that word human rights before. A right is something that you are allowed to do, to be, or to have as a human being. Rights are enforced by law and protect you against people who might want to hurt you. They also help people get along with each other and help us all live in peace. Some examples include the right to life and the right to think for yourself, which I think is very important. We don't want people telling us what to think. But you have the right to think, have your own opinion, and have people not tell you what to think. You also have the right to an education. And today we're going to talk about another right, which is health. Every person has the right to live in a clean, healthy environment, and that includes at school. But all over the world, people do not have access to medical services and even to sanitation. Did you know that 1 in 3 people in the world does not have access to plumbing? 1 in 3. So to get an idea, I want you to turn to the person next to you and turn to the person on the other side, or imagine that there's someone sitting on either side of you if there isn't, and think, of the 3 of you sitting there, imagine that 1 of you does not have access to a bathroom or a toilet at all. So today, we are going to learn from current and returned Peace Corps volunteers who work all over the world to make sure that people in their communities are healthy. For those of you who don't know, Peace Corps is a governmental organization that sends volunteers all over the world to address the most pressing needs at the community level. And if you're not familiar with us, look at peacecorps.gov, and we actually just launched a brand new website today, and it's beautiful. Today, I'm joined by Liz.
Hi, everyone.
And she is a returned Peace Corps volunteer from Senegal. She also works here with me as the White House liaison for Peace Corps. We are also joined by Melody. Melody, can you wave and say hi? She is and Melody is in Swaziland, so she has a little bit of a delay. So I have to remember to be patient, and just a little bit patient, and allow Melody just a moment to answer our questions. We are also joined today by Miss James, 2nd grade class in Virginia. Miss James class, can you all wave and say hi? Hi. Hi, everyone. So nice to see you. And these 2nd graders are 7, 8, and even 9 years old, and we learned that they are very excited to be ready for summer any minute now. My name is Caitlin, and I am the Education Program Specialist here at Peace Corps. That means that I connect Peace Corps volunteers and returned Peace Corps volunteers to classrooms all over the United States, much like I am doing right now. So before we get started hearing from the people who are joining us today, I ask all of you to think about something. And we have asked Ms. James' class to also think about this question, and she's going to have one of her students come up and tell us, why is it important to wash your hands? So for those of you out there watching, think about that. Why is it important to wash your hands? And if you want to tweet to hashtag WorldWiseTalks, you can tell us the answer to that question. You can also put them into the chat if you want to answer that question. Okay, so tell us your name.
Hi, I'm Christian, and I'm 8 years old.
And why is it important to wash your hands?
It is important to wash your hands because if you don't, germs will spread and you or someone else will probably get sick.
That is an excellent answer to that question. Thank you very much. Miss Kim's 1st graders in California also answered that question, and they sent those in ahead of time, and I asked them to tell us, and Tristan, who's 6 years old, tells us so that you don't spread germs. Also, Avery has said that it's important to wash your hands so other people don't get sick, and Austin, who is also a first grader at 6 years old, says that you can get germs on your food and get sick. So we all understand it's very important to wash your hands. And now we are going to travel to Madagascar. But before we do that, I'm showing you a map right here. And for all of my learners out there, Madagascar is a country in Africa. So can you look at that map and point to or think about if you know where Africa is on that map? Africa is a continent, and it's right there. Africa is a country that's a continent made up of over 50 countries, and we are going to go to Madagascar. So here we have Africa. I'm going to give you just a moment. Take a look at that map and see if you can find Madagascar. It's right there. Now, our volunteer who is joining us from Madagascar has not been able to join us yet. So we're going to move on from Madagascar and think for a moment. And next we are going to travel to Senegal. And Liz is here to talk to us about Senegal. So take a look at that map again and think, where is Senegal? Can we give them a hint? Liz, what color is it?
The color is red. Do you see it on there?
Do you see a red country that starts with an S and it's called Senegal? Oh, and our circle disappeared, but Senegal is up there below Mauritania. So, all right, Liz is going to share now her experience of working as a Peace Corps volunteer in Senegal, and we also have some photos that we're going to share when she's ready. So let me know when you're ready for your photos. So go ahead, Liz.
Sounds good. Hello, everyone. Now that we saw where Senegal was on the map, I'm going to go ahead back down memory lane and tell you about my time there as a Peace Corps volunteer. So I lived in a small town called Gayoul, and every morning whenever I walked throughout the village, I had to greet my neighbors. And a way that you could greet your neighbors was by saying Nanga Def. Do you guys want to go ahead and try that together? Nanga Def.
Nanga Def. Nanga Def?
Nanga Def.
Nanga Def. Miss James's class, are you trying that? Nanga Def.
Yes, and that means how are you doing? And to respond to that, you would say Mangi Fi.
Mangi Fi. So if I say Nanga Def,
I would say Mangi Fi.
Mangi Fi. Can you try that, Miss James' class? Mangi Fi?
Mangi Fi.
Perfect, perfect. So I would do that every morning when I would go out into the town and start my work. But there was this one morning where I was approached by this tall man after saying Nanga Def, Mangi Fi, and talking about just the day and what we were up to. The person, he was actually a principal at one of the elementary schools in a small village about 2 miles down the road. And he was telling me about how there were kids there who were right about your age and a bit older who loved going to school every day, but there was not a toilet there for them to go to the bathroom. So there wasn't a bathroom for them to be able to use the bathroom every day. So sometimes some of the kids weren't able to go out there, whether if they were sick or just didn't feel comfortable going to school without having a bathroom there. How would you all feel if you weren't able to have a bathroom that you could use while you were at school throughout the day? Yeah, it would be pretty challenging. So we just talked about it, and we tried to come up with a solution about how could we build a bathroom for the students to use. And the principal, he talked to the village, he talked to the teachers, and they were able to find someone who was going to help and be able to build the bathroom. And also the community was able to bring their money together to help buy some of the materials. And I worked with Peace Corps, and we were able to find another organization who was able to provide money to buy the rest of the materials. And together, we came together, and we, over the course of about a month or two, we were able to build the bathroom, and the kids had a bathroom to use. So I have a couple of pictures of the kids.
Okay, so we will show those pictures. So what's this picture that we're looking at, Liz?
So right now we are outside of the school, and these are all the kids who are gathered outside under one of the trees. And this is one of the second grade classrooms that I was able to visit. And they all stood in there. This is them greeting the teacher and everyone coming into the classroom.
So those are second graders, just like Miss James' class. Very cool.
Yeah. And here are two kids who are standing in the bathrooms that we were able to build in this small village. And they were saying thank you to Peace Corps and to the appropriate projects who helped build the bathrooms in the school.
Wonderful. And I think those were all the pictures that we had of your project. Thank you so much. That is absolutely wonderful. So, so you also did a project where you worked on doing trash collection too as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So I hope all of you have trash cans in your classrooms or at home, and you know where to put the trash and where to put the recycling. Does everyone know the difference between trash and what you recycle?
Yeah, I do. I think so. Yeah, that's good. And I think a lot of kids now know that.
Yeah, I think a lot of kids do too. And in my village, there wasn't actually a place to put the trash. So I had the opportunity to work with some of the village chiefs and to work with some of the schools to help develop a project where there was a place for the classrooms, the schools, the businesses, and the homes to be able to collect their trash, put it outside of their homes, and then every day there would be 5 people who would go around with their horses and their carts and pick up the trash and deliver it all the way to the outskirts of the town to throw it away. And it kept the community clean, and it was just much safer.
Sure, because keeping the trash around is not access to a safe and healthy environment, and so it's a really important work that you were doing. So imagine, before Liz arrived in her community, there was nowhere for people to throw trash, and there was no bathroom at her school. So we were so thrilled to learn about your project that you did. Thank you so much, and also for teaching us the greeting. Now, we had another question, and actually Liz talked a little bit about this, but our next question that we sent out to our learners was, what do you think it would be like to go to a school with nowhere to wash your hands? So, Ms. James, we know that we asked your students to think about that question. Also, for our folks out there who are watching, we want you to think about that too. Remember, you can tweet us your answers, or you can put them into the chat. So, Ms. James, who do we have to answer our question about what it would be like to go to a school without a place to wash your hands?
Hi, I'm Ruby, and I'm 7 years old, and I think I would probably be nervous and worried that I would be putting germs in my mouth that might make me sick, and I would probably use a cloth or something to pick up food with, and I might have a clean hand and a dirty hand. For example, the clean hand to eat with and the dirty one to pick up trash with.
Oh, that's a very thoughtful,
Yeah.
that's a good answer to that question, thinking about trying to keep yourself safe so you know that it's important to have clean hands. We talked about why it's important to wash our hands. And think about all the kids all over the world who do not have places to wash their hands at school and sometimes at home too. So we sent this question, and again, Ms. Kim's students sent us answers to their questions as well. Prudence, who's 6 years old, said, nowhere to wash your hands would be terrible. Julie, who's 7 years old, said, it would be really hard, and I agree with Julie. It would be really hard to always having to be thinking about keeping yourself healthy without anywhere to wash your hands. And Zoe says you would get germs, and I agree. And Michaela, who's also 7, said that she would be very upset. So we are, oh, there's our map of Senegal showing us where Senegal was, and we had those wonderful pictures from Liz, and I'm going to show them to you again as we move on to our next slide. And we had a third question that we reached out to our kids to ask, and talking about being healthy at school, and then we're going to have Melody talk about the work that she's done to address a lot of these problems and keep kids healthy. So Ms. James, do you have a learner who can answer the question about why they think it's important to be healthy at school?
Yes, I think we're going to get Nola to answer that. Nola, can you?
Wonderful. Hi. Why is it important to be healthy at school?
It's important to be healthy at school because you don't want to miss out on important things that you want to learn for like information for a test or something. And also you don't want to like waste other people's time trying to ask them what's going on, like what are you supposed to do? And also you don't want to like fall behind on work. And if you're like unhealthy in school, the sickness could pass on to other kids and make them sick also.
Good job, Nola. Great job.
Absolutely excellent answer to that question. Very thoughtful, and I agree. And again, we reached out to our first graders who are in California, and when we asked them why it's important to be healthy at school, Dominic said, I think it's good to be healthy at school because it's good for you. And remember, education is a right, just like being healthy is a right. So if you're not healthy, you're not able to go to school. That's why it's important to pay attention to health as well as a lot of your other rights, because if you're not healthy, you're not able to do a lot of things, including learning. Krishan has mentioned that it keeps you from getting sick and it also gets you healthy. And that's exactly right. And from Austin, who's 6, is so you can learn and actually hear better. And I agree with Austin as well. Now we're going to hear from another Peace Corps volunteer. We're going to take another trip to another country in Africa. It's called Swaziland. And Melody, can you tell us what color Swaziland is on this map? Well, first, is it a big country or a small country on this map?
It is a teeny tiny country, and on this map, it is pink. Can you find it? Kind of hard. Look in the south. Look down.
Look down. Excellent.
There it is, right there.
Excellent. Melody, we'd love to hear from you, and we have your pictures to show whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Well, what I did is my community is called Tembeni. And it's in a rural area, which means that there's lots of farms and lots of people who live far away from the city. And in Swaziland, what you do when you greet someone, just like Miss Liz taught us about greeting people in Senegal, in Swaziland, you say, Sawubona. So you can go up to someone and say, Sawubona, and they will say, Yebo. So I will greet you, and I will say, Sawubona, and then you will say, Yebo. All right, are you ready? So I'm going to say, Sawubona, and you say, Yebo. That's it. Good job. So a really big problem in Swaziland is that there are a lot of children who are about your age who have lost their parents, either one parent or both of their parents, because their parents got sick. And so health is very, very important, especially for the kids, and keeping kids healthy so that they can grow up to be big and strong. And one of the places in Swaziland where kids can go is called a care point. And a care point is some place in the community that is meant for children who maybe only have one parent or no parents, and they can go and they can go to school, they can get taught, and they can also get food, and they can learn how to be healthy. And so not all children in Swaziland go to nice schools like you do in America. Your school, your classrooms look really nice. But in Swaziland, they don't have as much money. And so the care point that I work for is very poor. It doesn't even have a building. They sit under a tree, and they do their lessons while they are sitting on the ground. And so they obviously don't have a bathroom. There's no place to go to the bathroom, and there's no place to wash your hands. And I went there, and the first time I went there, I said, this isn't healthy. We should do something about this. And so I talked to the teachers, and we came up with a plan to build something called a Tippy Tap. And a Tippy Tap is, we can see in the picture, that's me and the Tippy Tap that we built. And there's 2 sticks stuck into the ground, and then a stick lying horizontal across between the 2 sticks. And there's a water jug that hangs on that stick. And way down at the ground, there's another stick that you can step on, and it pulls a string that tilts the water. And the water comes out of a little hole, and you can wash your hands, and the stick works kind of like the faucet. And so you don't have to touch anything. You just step on the stick, and the water comes out. And this is a really, really cheap way. It's almost free because you can get sticks from outside, you can use jugs that you used for something else like milk, and the only thing you pay for is the soap. And so we thought that it was the perfect idea to help these kids learn how to wash their hands without a sink like we have in America. And so we built the Tippy Tap, and then came the day when we taught the kids how to wash their hands. And it was so much fun. The kids were so excited because they had never seen something like this before, and they loved taking turns stepping on the stick and making the water come out. And so we all know that when you wash your hands, you have to do it for a couple seconds, right, to make sure you get all of the germs off. And so what we did is we would sing the ABC song while we were washing our hands. And so all of the children washed their hands and scrubbed their hands with soap while they sang ABCs. And then they rinsed their hands off and they shook them dry because they didn't have any towels. And that way they could keep the germs off their hands without having to use a sink. So this was a great way, and the kids got really excited. And I never got excited when I was little, when I had to wash my hands. But for these kids, this was something new, and they knew that washing their hands was going to be very important to keeping them healthy, and they were so happy that they finally had a way to wash their hands. So one of the teachers that I taught how to make the Tippy Taps was so excited by using the Tippy Taps and seeing how it worked that she went around to the different houses in the community and told them how to build Tippy Taps so they could have places to wash their hands at their houses. And so just this one project has spread, and so lots of people in my community are now washing their hands. So
excellent, wonderful. That's wonderful. I love your story. I have one question for you before we go to Miss James. How do you get the water to the Tippy Tap?
all you have to do is you can take that jug off of the stick and you can take it home with you, and you can fill it with water from the community tap that you have at your homestead, and then bring it back to the care point and stick it back on the stick, and you're good to go.
Wow, okay. I was wondering how that got there. So, Miss James, we're so glad. We lost you there for 1 minute, and you're back, which is great. So we know that your students prepared some questions for Liz, our Return Peace Corps volunteer, and for Melody. So please have them come up, and if they can ask a question to both of our guests, or they can ask a question to just one. It's up to them. So and then for those of you who are watching, you're welcome to submit questions by the chat or at the hashtag WorldWiseTalks. All right, Miss James, is your student ready to ask the first question?
Come on, Justin. So,
my name is Justin and I'm 7 years old. My question is, why is it important to have a toilet to use?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, I'm going to send that to Liz first because she built the toilet, so she can tell us all about that.
Well, of course, as people, we have to go to the bathroom every day. So it's important for you to be able to go to the bathroom quickly so that you can continue on about your day. So, for instance, in the village where I lived, the kids, they really wanted to learn and be able to focus and study and prepare for their tests. But for them to go all the way back to their village to go to the bathroom and then come all the way back to go to the classroom to study, it takes up so much of the day. So just being able to access it nearby helps you to go about your day in a more quicker and more efficient manner.
That's really interesting. I never would have thought. Imagine if you didn't have a bathroom at your school and you had to walk all the way home and come all the way back every time. And I imagine that some of the kids probably live far away. Melody, why is it important? You mentioned also that your students don't have a bathroom. So tell us about why that's important, having a bathroom.
It's so important to have a bathroom because of the germs. So if you don't go to a bathroom, if you don't have a bathroom or a toilet to go to, what do you have to do? When you go camping, you end up going outside. And that is dangerous because there's a lot of germs you get to, and if people are going to the bathroom under a tree, you've got all sorts of gross germs there, and it's not healthy to have those germs just hanging out. So you need a toilet. You need a special place where you can go to go to the bathroom and then to take care of the germs and leave them there.
That's really important. Thank you so much, Melody. Do we have another question from Ms. James' class?
Do. Tamsin, would you like to come up next?
Hi, I'm Tamsin and I'm 8 years old. What do you inform and encourage people to go to the bathroom or to wash their hands?
Melody, you built a hand washing station. How do you encourage kids to learn to wash their hands and that it's important?
Well, I try to make it as fun as possible, and so that's why we sang the songs, and I got excited when we were teaching the kids how to wash their hands. It's something that the kids look forward to every day. They help refill the water when it's time, and they help carry it to the care point and set it up. It's something that it's part of their experience, and so they get to be excited about it too. And it's a job, but it's something fun that we can do together.
And Liz, how did you encourage people to do more healthy behavior?
Well, similar to Melody, I think songs and making it fun and also educational was a really great way to get kids excited about being clean and being healthy.
Excellent. Very good question. Ms. James' class, do you have another question for us? I think you have one more. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we have one more question from Natasha.
Hi, my name is Natasha and I'm 8 years old. And my question is, where do you get the money to make the toilets and do the projects?
Excellent question. Liz, how did you get money for your projects?
Well, it really did take a community for us to get the money to build these bathrooms. So the village, they came together and they figured out how much money they could raise to help buy some of the materials. And then they took care of some of the costs. And then I worked with a nonprofit called Appropriate Projects, who was able to help pay for the rest of the materials. And sometimes it costs money for a builder to actually build whatever it is that you're making, in this case to build the toilets. But the community came together and they were able to identify 2 people who ended up building the toilets for free for the community. So we were able to save a lot of money that way too.
Oh, that's very neat. Mm-hmm. Melody?
Well, the great thing about the Tippy Tap was that we didn't have to raise money. It was something that was completely free, except for the soap. And the soap was the teachers at the care point because they cared enough about their students to want to keep them safe and healthy. And so all we did is we went out into the bush and we found some sticks and we cut them up, and then we found an old jug that we used and then used string, and so it was totally free. So that's one of the great projects that that we can do. Then we can show people in the communities that it doesn't take a healthy.
And I'll show the picture of your Tippy Tap again so we have an idea. Where are those jugs easy to find and are they free? How do you get those jugs?
Yeah, the jugs are usually everywhere. In Swaziland, we have a problem with trash too, and so sometimes there's trash laying around the community that we can use. But people buy things from the stores, and they're really good about recycling and reusing things that they buy from the stores. And so it's really easy to come across jugs like that or milk jugs that you buy from the store too.
Excellent. Well, it looks like we do not have any questions from the audience, which is unusual. Usually we have some questions from the audience, and that's fine. We do have quite a few people watching today, but we must have asked so many great questions that they must have used up all their questions because we've already had so many great questions answered. And Ms. James' class, I don't believe that. Did you have any other questions? I think you only have 3 for us. Is that correct?
Correct. Anyone have any questions?
Anyone else have any questions that you want to ask?
we have one more question. If you
Oh,
have
great. We love it.
Sophia. Come on.
Hi, my name is Sophia and I'm 8 years old. Is your life hard?
Oh, when you're a Peace Corps volunteer, is your life hard? Oh. Liz, was your life hard as a volunteer?
I would say that it was challenging learning to adjust to how different things were. For instance, it was 30 degrees warmer over in Senegal than it was here. So it was hot all the time, and I just had to get used to sweating a lot. And then also, in terms of having electricity and internet access, I didn't have those things when I lived in Gale. So it was challenging to adjust to living life without all the things that we're used to, having a cell phone where I can get on Facebook or I can text message my friends as easily. I didn't have that, and I think it was challenging.
Melody, is life in Swaziland difficult?
There are certain things that are harder than when you live in America. Like Liz said, being connected and having the internet and being able to drive to the store whenever you want. You don't have that here, and so it takes some getting used to. But we are pretty adaptable as people, and so you get used to it in no time, and pretty soon having no running water or electricity is just another day, and so you'd be surprised what you can get used to.
And actually, while I have you there, Melody, we had a question come in from someone who's watching. It says, does Swaziland have a lot of the same hygiene problems? So are the problems that you ran into with lack of places to wash hands and toilets, is that common throughout Swaziland?
It is, especially in the rural areas, the places away from the cities. It's very common to not have running water or places to wash your hands. They have latrines here, which are not, the toilets don't flush, and so they're just pits dug into the ground. And so that can be unsafe too, because you can have bugs and insects in the latrine. And so these health problems are all around the country. So that's why it's so important for us as Peace Corps volunteers when we go to live in our communities to really encourage healthy behaviors.
I'm going to show Liz's picture because it shows what Melody was just talking about. And this is a latrine, or I think commonly called a pit latrine. Is that right, Liz? So tell us a little bit about how it's designed. So there's no water, correct?
No, there's no water, but as Melody was describing, there's a long pipe that's dug into the ground, and you see right there, that's the top of it where you would go to the bathroom. But in Senegal, people would carry around kind of a tea kettle that was filled with water so that they could use it to clean the top of the latrine every time it was used. And then when it gets full, a construction worker, builder would come in to dump it and then rebuild it.
Wow. So you can stay healthy and not have to necessarily have water, but that's why it's important if you don't have running water to build something like what Melody had, the Tippy Tap, so people can wash their hands. That was a great question, and that question came in again through our chat from Stephen. Thank you so much, Stephen, for asking that question. That was a very good question. And we'll give just one more moment for the folks who are joining us watching. If they want to submit any questions by Twitter or on our chat, you just type the question in and hit submit, and then we can answer that for you. If we don't have any other questions, I'll give it just one more moment. But as we're waiting to see if any last things come in, first, I did want to say thank you. First, I want to say thank you to Melody, who is joining us all the way from Swaziland. What time is it in Swaziland right now?
8:30 right now at night.
That's not too bad, actually, but still probably time about ready for you to go to bed. And she had to travel very far to find a computer that would work well enough so that she could meet with us today. So thank you very much. I know that it's not the easiest thing to do. We really appreciate you taking time away from your job and from the people in your community to come and teach us about what you're doing as a Peace Corps volunteer. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you wanted to say before we say goodbye?
Just keep being healthy and keep exploring the world. That's all.
Wonderful. And thank you very much for your service and the work that you do. And Liz, thank you for your service and for the work that you do every day here at Peace Corps. We really appreciate you sharing your experiences and your pictures and the wonderful work that you did as a volunteer. And if you go, we did share the video that features Liz's work with our webinar. But if you go to YouTube's, Peace Corps' YouTube channel, and if you just type in Senegal and health, you can see the great work that Liz did, and there's a beautiful video, and we did share that with all of you, but in case you haven't had a chance to see it, I highly recommend it. Miss James, thank you so much. Your learners were fabulous. Can we say goodbye to you all? Say bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Miss James, second grade class. You were absolutely wonderful. Very, very good questions and very thoughtful responses to the questions. It's very clear that you all have thought about why it's important to be healthy in school. And on this International Children's Day, we're so happy to connect with you, and we're happy to see that you guys all look very healthy and very happy, and Miss James is a wonderful teacher. Thank you very much, Miss James. You've been wonderful participants today. We're going to say goodbye to you all. Thank you very much. And we'll say goodbye here. And I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Thailand, and the way that we say goodbye in Thailand is usually you Y like this, rather than shaking hands, and it can be used as a greeting. And you say Sawadee Ka if you're a girl, or Sawadee Kap if you're a boy. So we will say Sawadee Ka for now. Thank you all very much for joining us. Please stay tuned. We have other webinars planned. Come to our website, peacecorps.gov/WWS, or come to Worldwide Schools. And you can also follow more on our webinars at #WorldWiseTalks. Thank you again for joining us.